Hello and welcome, Beate Gillette here. In this episode of the Business Growth Architect, I will take you through the 10 tips on how to start a business or improve your existing one. And they're not those trite examples that you usually get. As you know, I always go in deep into things like mindset, on not being a lone wolf, and all the stuff that I see that people do very frequently and commonly wrong, to make sure that you don't make those mistakes, but that you can start your business or improve it with a plan and with consistency, so you get to be as successful as you deserve to be. Head on over now and either watch or listen to the full episode right now. Until then, goodbye. And hello, fabulous person. Beate Gillette here. I am the host of the Business Growth Architect Show, and I want to welcome you to today's episode where we discuss how to navigate strategy and spirituality to achieve time and financial freedom. Truly successful people have learned how to master both: a clear intention and a strategy to execute that, in a spiritual practice that will help them to stay in alignment and on purpose. Please enjoy the show and listen to what our guest today has to say about this very topic. Hello everyone, Beate Gillette here, Growth Architect, and today we're going to talk about the top 10 tips on how are you going to start your business or improve it. And we have a lot to take on today, so be prepared, take some notes, and I'll get deep into this today with what does it take to start a business or to run it really, really, really successfully. So let's talk about why this even matters right now. There's been, as always, market changes. There is this, what I call this big pendulum swing that has gone for probably a decade now. Hard left, hard right, hard left, hard right, and it leaves the middle wide open. In my work, where we work with impact-driven entrepreneurs, conscious leaders, people that want to make an impact in the world, what I've found is there's been a mass activation. A lot of people are feeling the call to really step into their gift and to make sure that the world hears their message, because there's so much discord. People losing friends over stuff that's going out in the outside world, and it's really not necessary. We're here to run a business. We're here to help people. We're here to help people have a better life. We're here to give people hope. And that's what I want to focus on today, is that you are either starting your business and you want to know what are the things that you need to really think about, or you have started a business, but you're stuck in what I call the infinity loop. And in this infinity loop, you're just not really moving forward. You just kind of keep going back and forth. And that typically means that you've missed something and you cannot get past a particular point. So we want to find out what this particular point is to help you move through it so you can get to this next level of business success. Ready? Let's do it. Number one, the most important thing in business is, what is the problem that you're trying to solve? Every person that is in business gets money for a transaction. So money is the currency for transfer of confidence, in exchange for product, in exchange for service. So they want something that they either need as a product or they want to help solve or do with, and that's why they come to you. So make sure that you have a clear definition of what the actual problem is that you are solving. In order for you to know what the actual problem is, you need to understand your client. And your client, in Growth Architect, we call this your airtight avatar. The airtight avatar is a client profile, a customer profile that's very clearly defined, where you are literally crawling into the minds of your prospects and you look around and you say, what are they dealing with? What are their problems? What are their challenges? What are their opportunities? And what is it that they need solved? And then that is what you are going to be putting in your offer, which is what we're going to be talking about in just a moment. But number one, most important thing, is there a problem? Have you verified that that's actually a problem? Are they articulating this in their language? And is it a problem that you can solve? There goes a lot more into it, where you have to tell them why you are the right person to solve this particular problem. You have to speak about the problem in their particular language, but we can't really go into that too much today because we have 9 other tips to cover. So here's tip number 2. What is the idea, right? And the verification of your idea. So let's say you want to set up a ebook business, which I did. And in this ebook business, I wanted to put coffee table books on and publish them as ebooks so that people could look at them on their tablets and their iPads and be really excited about all these beautiful coffee table books. What I did not realize is that the reason coffee table books didn't exist on iPads or Fire tablets, because you don't exactly go into somebody else's house and you look at their iPad and say, "Can I see your iPad? Can I take a look at your coffee table books?" So it was a good idea, or so I thought, but it really was a terrible idea because there was no market for it. I had to close this business. So you want to verify your idea very, very early on before you go too deep into it. One of the best places that I've seen that does these minimum viable offer verification ideas is AppSumo. I'm a big Sumo ling. And I'm going to put this in the show notes so you just can go all and check it out. But AppSumo is a marketplace for SaaS products, for companies that are building minimum viable offers for a SaaS product. They put it on AppSumo, and then they see, by the way, that the product is being purchased and being used, they see very quickly if there's a minimum viable offer. So you got to build into, when you start your business or as you grow your business or you're adding more products, you want to build in this idea of, how do I verify that this idea actually works? That was tip number 2. Tip number 3, this is hands down the single most overlooked thing that I ever see in all my work, and that is, you need to have a business model. Now, a business model can be many different things. A business model could be an Etsy model. It could be an Amazon model. It could be a resale model. It could be a online model, a knowledge-based model. It could be a speaking model. It could be a combination out of all these different things. But many times when people build a business model or they build their business, they don't even think about that there has to be a model. And then they get all cranky because they don't know what the business really is, because they're doing so many things. And then what they do, and this ties back into what I've talked about 1,000 times, I'm going to say it one more time, is that's when people buy a whole bunch of stuff on the internet and they have no idea on whether it works or not, but it sounds good. So they learn how to speak, even though they don't know if their business model includes speaking. Or they buy a writing course for copywriting, but they are not writers and they don't really want to write. Or they buy an online course creation, not knowing if online courses even work right now. And here's a tip: they really don't. The online course world has run its course, and there is not much for people. When people tell you that they made all this money with online courses, yeah, that might have been, but that was a couple of years ago. That's not right now. People are not buying online courses. That's not the numbers we are seeing. So you need to make sure that you have a proper business model. That's my tip number 3. Let's move on to tip number 4. Let's talk about your offer. So your offer is based on the things that we already talked about. Your offer needs to tie in with what the idea of the business is, right? What are we doing? What are we solving? With what are we bringing to market here? What do we need to offer that solves a particular problem that we already talked to our clients about, that we are going to be solving? That's how easy it is. If I know what you're struggling with and I talk to you or many of you, then I will figure out, what do I need to offer to help you solve this particular problem? Easy peasy. Moving on to tip number 5. You need systems and processes. And you need systems and processes as you build your business. That's really critical, because a lot of times what I see is that people are looking at systems and processes. I just gave the example of the internet marketer. And then they look at this and say, oh, now that I know what, this particular program can do, now I'm building my business based upon what this program's capabilities are. And that is a huge mistake. We never build a business based upon capabilities of a particular software. We build a business based upon the model that we design, and then we actively look for available tools. Systems and processes are built based upon what we need the business to do, not what others have available for us. That is oftentimes upside down. So when I see people go into let's say in the online course business, right? And they go to somebody like Thinkific or Kajabi, or they go to High Level, and then they look at all the capabilities these programs really have, and then they go, now I know what I can do with my business, but I'd rather have you have the business model first and then build out the available tools along with AI models and with SaaS products to fit your business model. Let's move on to tip number 6, mindset. Probably one of my favorite things. Mindset matters because you are going to be enticed to think that you can use the law of attraction by saying, I visualize myself for achieving something. And then you look in your bank account and there's not enough money in your bank account. You have to pay your bills. You get frustrated. What I'd rather have you do is figure out what is a thought that you have a really, really wonderful, fuzzy, warm vibration on. What is the thought that you really, truly can believe in? So one of the mindset trainers that I really recommend you to pay attention to is Abraham Hicks. You can find a lot of her stuff on YouTube. And she talks about this. When you talk about abundance or about wealth, she says, would it be fair for you to say that there's an abundance of sunshine? Like, there's sunshine. So you can think about sunshine as something that's available in abundance. Or you think about stars and that's something that's in abundance. You can think about yourself in abundance when you don't have abundance because you're creating abundance. So you need to figure out in your mind, what is an example that you can use that you can extrapolate this feeling and then apply it, like chewing gum, and you stretch it out and you put it over everything. Because once you're in this vibration, which also has been called a vortex, and I encourage you to check out my podcast that I did with Franco Lofranco, where he talks about the vortex and how to create this particular vortex. It's really an energetic vibration, and your job is to stay in this energy as long as you possibly can and as often as you possibly can, and eliminate everything that throws you out of this particular vibration, because that's a detrimental energy to your success. So you need to be in this all the time. Mindset has many, many, many different facets. I also did a podcast with David Nagel on it that you can look for, which is a double binding message, where you have a lot of friction in what you want to believe and what you're actually thinking. And then you have this screaming match inside your head that also doesn't work. So these are the 2 podcasts I really encourage you to check out on our show that will help you with understanding mindset a little bit better. And that was our tip number 6. Next is tip number 7. Tip number 7 is the client transformation journey. Now, this is a concept that I also don't hear a lot of other people talk about, but I want you to go into this a little bit deeper. When you are going into business, you build a business, or you growing your business or build out your business, I want you to think about this from a perspective of a transformation journey. And you get to decide where on the transformation journey you are allowing your clients to enter, and where on your transformation journey are you allowing your clients to exit. You cannot do everything. You can't take a journey from all the way to the beginning of time. You can't work with somebody from when they are born all the way until they die. So you have to pick a time period or a section or a segment somewhere in there and said, this is the transformation journey that I'm going to help people with. So if you are a coach, where are they when they come to you, and where are they when they leave you? How are these markers on either one of those sides? That's what we talk about in client transformation. We do client transformation journeys in one of our programs, the Signature Growth System, where we really look at it like, if we take all your knowledge and we bake it into a bread, and then we cut it into slices, what would the slices be? And then what segments are these slices going to be put into? Like maybe it's bread for breakfast, bread for lunch, or bread for dinner. And then within that, there's different recipes that we can use that will help people to manage these transformation journeys in this particular example, in these 3 defined stages. So that's what's called a client transformation journey. That really helps you with building out products. That helps you with identifying your client further, because once you know what your client's problem is, you already know, once you solve the first problem, what's the next problem, what's the next problem, what's the next problem. And then you design in this client transformation journey from where to where you're going to take them. It is It's a fairly simple concept. It's not easy to implement, and you're most likely going to need a little bit of help with this. But I want you to just think about this from a concept as you're starting a business. Where do I get in and where do I exit, and what's the piece that I'm managing? Moving on to tip number 8, and that is the question I ask all of my clients, and I ask them this question when they walk in the door. What do you want? What do you want? Why are you building this? What do you want to get out of it? Do you want to have a business that creates freedom for you? Do you want a business that creates a job replacement? Do you want to replace $250,000? Do you want to run a business that makes millions of dollars? Do you want to work alone? Do you want to work with a team? What do you actually want? What is right for you? And that is really about balance and spirituality in your life. And that continues to change. So I have found in my own journey that the things that were important to me when I was 30 or 40 are no longer important to me at this point in my career. I've shared it. I'm a grandmother. I prefer to spend time with my grandchild. I need some more freedom and time. I'm also 60, so there are physical changes that I want to pay attention to. I need more time for my health. I need more time to take care of myself. I can't just work, 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 work. And let's face it, this notion that you are going to work hard to get to a particular point really means that you don't really know where you're getting to. It means that you are chasing an idea of a future perfect that is probably relatively vaguely defined, which is, I say, what do you want? But rather, and this is from my work over 40 years, is I can tell you there is no there. There really literally isn't. The people that I know that have made money, and sometimes insane amounts of money, that have had the $100 million exits, you want to remember that that's the money. They just have the money figured out. That doesn't mean that stuff doesn't go wrong in their lives. To the contrary, society now strips you of all your rights to have any problems because you have money, and we being taught that having money is the answer to everything. It really isn't. So the question, what do you want, as my tip number 8, is really absolutely critical. So if you're driving and listening to this is a good time to maybe pause this interview and or this podcast and just think about, what is it that you want? What would that really look like? Tip number 9, don't do this alone. This is another one of those things where the way I talk about it is there is no tombstone that says he or she did everything alone. There's a tombstone that says, as a great partner, great wife, husband, daughter, son. It means that it really is not achieved in isolation. It's achieved together. We offer, here in the Growth Architect tribe, in our beehive, we've literally just launched a forum idea, an accountability group for that particular reason, because I found more and more, the deeper I dive into it, the more I see that when I facilitate these groups and people have people that they can be absolutely honest with each other, where there's confidentiality, where they can share things that they would not even say to their wife or their partner or their parents, where they can really be honest about their trials, tribulations, and their fear. It makes such a difference, because when you really have this kind of radical honesty with yourself and you're willing to go deep and you're willing to share, you now have the power to change, because you are not hiding. You are allowing other people to help you. You are allowing things to come to you. So make sure that if you think still that there's a reward for doing this by yourself, that you let this idea go. It doesn't exist. It's a false positive, just like the notion that the work must speak for itself. The work never speaks for itself. You have to explain the work and you have to talk to people. People buy you. They don't buy the work. They buy you. They buy you, what you do for them, how you connect with them, how you interact with them, how they feel when they are around you. To make sure that this human element and the vulnerability and the being real really shines out. I had a hell of a year in understanding that even though I felt I was really being straightforward and honest, but I still kept hiding a lot of my stuff. And for those of you who follow me, I've shared a lot about what I've learned this year about my childhood abuse, which is not really a particularly enlightening subject, but certainly something that after that many years, as it finally surfaced and these memories, fortunately or unfortunately, kept coming back, where I realized that a lot of my decision making was made on the trauma I had as I absolutely scared out of my mind and abused 7-year-old or 6-year-old. That's when my abuse really started. And when you are going into business and you're really here to help people and you want to drop the act and you want to be you kind of have to connect with some of these parts. And you have to connect with some of these parts and open up and let that out and then examine, are you making decisions as a 7-year-old based on the trauma and the experiences that you have that are very real to you? Or are you making these decisions as an adult because you understand that you have these experiences and they brought you here, but they are no longer having control over you? It's a big difference, huge topic. I definitely encourage you to look into that and do the work on that. It makes such a difference. It's not easy. I'm not going to lie about that. It was very, very hard work. Finally, number 10 is attract, don't persuade. That is the biggest change I've seen in the market. This crazy internet marketing language of the Cardones and the big screaming internet marketers, they're running around with the watts of cash. I think that this particular model is for a very specific type of client. It's specifically for whatever the men in their 20s potentially that are really attracted to that kind of dominance, alpha male type of thing. This is not what I see. What I see is that people want balance. They want real connection. They want to know that you're real. They want to be able to trust you. They want to know that you actually have their interest in mind, that you're not just trying to sell something or that you give them a one-size-fits-all formula. So which ties all of this really nicely together. If you are truly who you are and you figure out a way on letting go some of these pretenses, and it's not that I believe that you're pretending to be something you're not. But what I say is that because you're in business and you have to make it look good on social media, and you have to make it look good to everybody else, and you don't want your mom or your dad or all these people that told you to not leave your job, you don't want to prove them right. So you are hiding things. And you're not addressing some of this pain and the discouragement and the frustration that you're feeling inside because you don't have access to other people, which I told you in one of the tips, don't do this alone. But the attraction model exists when you truly, truly stand in your power and you have people be drawn to you and you don't try to sell them. You don't try to persuade them, but you simply say, if you're in resonance with this, and if you're in resonance with this particular message, I ask you to share this message with people that you feel need to hear this right now. And they will. And when you say, I really want to help more people to step into who they truly are and truly, truly help them and not think so much about the money, because the money is a compensation for it. But you think about the passion and purpose first. The money is a natural side effect. And those are my 10 tips for today. I hope you are taking something away from it. And I ask you, please, if you know somebody who's struggling a little bit right now, especially after what we've seen in the United States is happening and the verbiage and how people talk to each other and how mean things are and the critique and the you're with me or you're against me and all this volatility, send him to this podcast and help him to get some ideas to maybe reframe some of these conversations in their head. I'm always here for you. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Please share this episode. As I said, if you have any comments, ideas, thoughts, or if there's a topic that you'd like me to discuss, go ahead and put it in the notes, in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And until next time, and I wish you all a wonderful remainder of the year, and let's start 2025 strong. And goodbye. So appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for listening to the entire episode. Please subscribe to the podcast, give us a 5-star review, a comment, and share this episode with one more person so that you can help us help more people. Thank you again. Until next time. Goodbye.